From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
Mr. and Mrs. America, I am Keith Allen, and welcome to this Wednesday, February the 9th, 2017's edition of For the People. I'm kind of like, is it the 8th today? It is the 8th, right? It is the 8th. All right. Because I'm kind of freaking out here, and mainly because, I can see it better without the reading glasses. This is kind of an oddity here. I'm kind of, and I even hate to say this, but like when you kind of crank into the 40s, they tell you that you're going to probably need reading glasses. Well, I just got my prescription changed for my contact lenses, okay? And I think they kind of messed it up. So I'm going to have to kind of go back in because I could read better before this happened. So if you can relate, it's very disturbing. So I had to go into a CVS and I had to try on some generic lenses that have, different powers for reading. And apparently it helps when you're actually just trying to do that. But for everything else around you, it's kind of really intense. It's like a magnifying glass. Maybe I don't have the right powers, but at least when I'm reading, like I can't use these for the computer. Clearly I couldn't see the date. And that was a first. So no reading glasses for the computer. But if I'm reading something like that has 8-point, 10-point font, then you need the reading glasses. And we're going to go ahead and just check them out here and see if this this is a weird thing. I know, I'm just getting used to it. I'm a baby. Because I know some of our listeners are like in their 70s and 80s are probably just laughing their butts off hysterically. Probably like my mother listening up in northern New Jersey today. All right, so we have a guest today at the bottom of the hour, and a very distinguished guest, Senior Health Advisor Janet Rich Pittman, and she's going to discuss what we can expect under President Trump when it comes to health care. So it's Obamacare versus TRUMPCARE, trying to make some sense out of it and to find out if this is actually good or bad for our country. Now, Elizabeth Warren, if you were monitoring what was going on with the Senate, she was a little shut down and felt a little out of place, and basically they put her in her place.
The senator will take her seat.
All right. Basically, what happened is she doesn't like what's taking place with the nomination, and she wants to conjure up civil rights. I'm not even kidding here. Coretta Scott King, she brings up a speech that was written 30 years ago. It was a very dramatic scene unfolding when she pretty much went afoul. This is a lot of the senators, and it's basically their words. And she started reading a 3-decade-old letter from Dr. Martin Luther King's widow that dated to Senator Jeff Sessions' failed judicial nomination. And she goes on and on and on. And here is how it actually went down if you were there.
They are Majority Leader.
Mr. President. The Majority Leader.
The senators impugn the motives and conduct of our colleague from Alabama as warned by the chair. Senator Warren, quote, said Senator Sessions has used the awesome power of his office to chill the free exercise of the vote by black citizens. I call the senator to order under the provisions of Rule 19.
Mr. President, I am surprised that the words of Coretta Scott King are not suitable for debate in the United States Senate. I ask leave of the Senate to continue my remarks.
Is there objection?
Object.
I appeal the ruling.
Objection is heard. The senator will take her seat.
And she was silenced, and good riddance. Oh, my goodness. And, of course, she had to go to Twitter. She's definitely not good as Trump. I guess she's trying to take some lessons from Donald Trump when he actually takes to Facebook. I think he does a pretty good job, but she's horrible. And then she tries to explain herself after the fact to a listening audience, which apparently she has some in the country that just think she's terrific. But and the quality is absolutely terrible. So first of all, if you're going to do something on Facebook Live, make sure it doesn't look like it's a homemade video, and it's just absolutely terrible. It's almost so terrible I don't even want to air it. But stations be warned, the quality is a little, well.
Earlier tonight, I went to the floor of the United States Senate to debate whether or not Jeff Sessions should be confirmed to be the Attorney General of the United States. Now, back in 1986, Senator Sessions back then had been the U.S. Attorney, and he was rejected to be a federal judge. And one of the things that was important in both Republicans and Democrats deciding to vote against him was a letter from Coretta Scott King to the Judiciary Committee.
Yeah. Is that what it was?
Tonight, I wanted to read that letter.
Oh, my God. I got to stop it. She reads the whole letter. It was very agonizing, and I had to, what was in the letter? Because I have no idea what was in the letter. So, we're going back to the Jim Crow days, talking about Negroes. I am dead serious, no disrespect, but that's the language that's being used by Miss King, and talking about the atmosphere and the South and Alabama and how we don't want to have, obviously, racist on the court. But there was no grounds, there was no showing to say that the man was. That was the atmosphere in the South for anybody that grew up in the South, right or wrong. It's just that's what things were back then. And thank goodness we're not there anymore. But the left, when they feel like they're against the wall, they have no other options, they whip out the race card. And it's the race card, indeed, that was played by Elizabeth Warren. She thinks she's going to line herself for the 2020 election. Things are not looking good, Miss Warren, in Massachusetts for you, honey. Things are not looking good. It's not going to happen for you. It's not going to happen. You can try to be very charismatic, and you can try. If it did not work for Hillary Rotten Clinton, it's certainly not going to work for you. Folks, you understand what I'm talking about? You understand, don't you? You understand where I'm coming from specifically on this. It's just, this is the tactics, and it just gets better and better as we go along here. And, a lot of people have weighed in on this on the floor, of course, and I expected this. Senator Chuck Schumer, the Democrat from New York, he called her former silencing totally unnecessary. So he would have been all for reading that letter talking about Jim Crow and marching hand to hand over the bridge. Great, terrific. Let's live history again. What was it, the History Channel, where the past comes alive? I mean, people want to see lynchings. People want to see people getting beat to a pulp again and again. This is what Obama's done. This is what Hillary Rotten Clinton's done to our country, to divide us even further. Blacks can vote. Let me knock on the mic. I know that's not a smart thing to do, but on the RE20 mic that I have in my studio, this thing's like a tank. I wouldn't do that with the Neumann behind me. If you know anything about mics, it's a much better quality, but this thing's like a workhorse. I'm like, come on, wake up, lady. What is wrong with you? It is embarrassing to a certain degree that she would whip out the letter. But see, this is how desperate that she is. Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah said both sides should be ashamed about the atmosphere on the floor. This place is going to devolve into nothing but a jungle, Hatch said. But things worked out. Warren silenced. It sounds so much better. She sounds like an old hag. She's horrible. I am sorry, but she is. And she rants this so-called progressive filth that comes from the mouth with hatred, conjuring up the past, antagonizing people, upsetting people, scaring people. That's unnecessary. We don't have to listen to civil rights from 30 years ago. We understand what happened. We've had history lessons. Thank you very much. We understand that. And by the way, this might be a newsflash, but there's whole generations that have never even experienced any of this really to speak of. Okay, I wasn't born in the 60s, okay? I'm glad that I didn't have to see people sitting on the back of the bus. Now, there are some people that have some BO that I wish they would go in the back of the bus if I take a bus, okay? Because I did the Trailways and the Greyhound to check it out to see what that would be all about, because at once upon a time, it was supposedly, the cool thing to do. And I checked it out. I regret it because of the potties and the blue juice they have back there. And it wasn't very fun. And then the fumes you smell. You know what I'm talking about? Well, if you ever rode one of those, but that was where they had Greyhound and Trailways. Trailways they did away. I guess they just have Greyhound. It's been a long time. But, I was all hooked up. I got some snacks out of the vending machine, and I was feeling pretty good about myself. And I was going to check out the West Coast, on a Greyhound to see what was going on out there. Kind of like doing my Joe Dirt trip. You have to see the movie if you know what I'm talking about. No, I knew where my parents were. Yeah, I think I was running away from them or something. But anyway, I digress. But, folks, people ask, how in the world can you do a show on politics? I can. Because it is this stuff you can't make up. This stuff happens every day. But this stuff changes all the time. And I have to be the one to actually bring some sense to this whole thing and some logic and some perspective. They clearly don't like the nominee. And by the way, they're not going to like any nominee, the education secretary. They're not going to like the attorney general. He's got connections with Russia. He's a racist. He loves Putin. He doesn't like black people. I mean, whatever thing they can say, nasty thing that they can say. And by the way, folks, there's no merit to it. There's nothing substantiating of it. This is the only thing they can do is whip out a letter from Loretta King. God bless Miss King. God bless Dr. King and the King family for helping out with civil rights and doing what they did, fighting the good fight. Thank you. We've come a long way since then, is my point. And it drives me nuts. And to boot, I know black people that are really frustrated about this. They want to move forward. They don't want to think about the cotton fields and these things. Certainly, we never want to go back to those, nor do the Jews actually want to go back to the furnace. Okay, they don't want to be cooked. And that's why, folks, whenever I'm in Washington, D.C., I go to the Holocaust Museum. Because it's a sobering reminder of what hatred does. We don't lynch people anymore. Oh, there's sick people that kill people. What was that, Bonnie and Clyde duo that just got apprehended for killing all those people, that mother, those people around the country? They just got them. But there's sickos out there, and we don't want people on mass scales like a Hitler to go off and do something bad like that. But this is the provocation. It's provocative. You know what? I guess what progressivism is that if you make it provocative and sensationalize it and untruth sprinkled on there, I guess that's progressivism. It win at any cost. And